Alright, for example 2, we have 4x squared plus 18x minus 10. So you could go ahead and multiply your a and c right now, where a is 4 and c is negative 10, and get negative 40, and then go through these same steps. However, if you take out a GCF first, it actually makes this problem a lot easier, and your factors won't be as large. So we notice that 4, 18, and negative 10 have a GCF of 2, so I'm going to pull that out first. So on the outside of parentheses I have a 2, and then on the inside what's left is 2x squared plus 9x minus 5. My new a for this quadratic is going to be 2, and my new c is going to be negative 5. So those are the two numbers that I'll multiply together to make my table negative 10, and my goal is to try to get a sum of 9. The factors of negative 10 are negative 10 and 1, negative 1 and 10, negative 5 and 2, and 5 and negative 2. When you sum all those up, the only one that gives me the sum that I need of positive 9, my middle term, is negative 1 and 10. So I'm going to leave the 2 on the outside of my parentheses, and I'm going to rewrite my middle quadratic using the positive 10 and negative 1 to split up that middle term. So now I have 2x squared minus x plus 10x minus 5. The first two terms have a GCF of x, so I'm going to pull that out as a GCF, and I'm left with 2x minus 1. The last two terms have a GCF of 5, so when I pull that out, I'm left with 2x minus 1. Notice I have another parentheses here with the two inner parentheses as well, so make sure you have enough parentheses for this problem. And now these two terms have a 2x minus 1 in common, so I'm going to pull that out along with the 2 that's already there as a GCF, and what's left inside parentheses is x plus 5. So for number 2, when I want to factor 4x squared plus 18x minus 10, that is going to be an answer of 2, parenthesis 2x minus 1, parenthesis x plus 5. You can FOIL these two binomials here together, and then multiply the 2 and distribute it, and you will get back the original problem. For number 3, we have 2x squared minus 4x minus 3. My a is 2, and my c is negative 3. So a times c this time is negative 6. When I write down all my factors of negative 6, I get negative 1 and 6, 1 and negative 6, 2 and negative 3, and negative 2 and 3. Your sum that you're trying to get is negative 4, so when you sum all those up, you get 5, negative 1, and 1. But none of those give you the negative 4 in the middle that you need for your middle term, which means that this quadratic is prime. That means it cannot be factored. And then finally, for your last tab, for this one, this is more for people that don't want to go through all those steps. For the last one that I just did with the factor by grouping, you may have been taught something in your Algebra 1 class, maybe like a box method or a cross method. And if you already know how to factor, then this really shouldn't be that hard. You can use what you've already been taught, or you can use this. It really doesn't matter. This is just for those that want to use a little bit of a shortcut. So we're going to use the example 3x squared plus 25x minus 18. We're going to use these 3 steps. So pause the video at this point. For step 1, because it's a trinomial, it was a product of 2 binomials. So I'm going to go ahead and start with 2 sets of parentheses. It says step 2 is to fill the factors, fill these with the factors of the last terms and the first terms. So what I'm going to do is my first term is 3x squared. So in my first position for my 2 binomials, I have to multiply 2 numbers, or 2 terms, that when I multiply them together, I get back 3x squared. Same thing for the last one. I need factors of negative 18 that when I multiply them together, 2 numbers that when I multiply them together give me this negative 18, and those are going to go in the L positions here on the last. And so number 3, after I find those out, I just need to go through the FOIL process and make sure that I get back what I'm supposed to. So I'm going to check my outer and my inner, since I've already taken care of my first and my last, and I just want to make sure that I get that middle term. So my factors of 3x squared are going to be negative 1x squared, negative 1x and negative 3x, or 1x and 3x. So I would put those in the F position. I've chosen 3x and positive x. For my first. My factors of negative 18 are 2 and negative 9, 9 and negative 2, 3 and negative 6, and negative 6 and 3, and 1, negative 18, and negative 18 and 1. At this point, you may have to try different factors and different signs before getting it right. So at this point, it's just kind of like a trial and error method. So we've got a negative 2 and a 9 for the first one that I have here. I didn't have a lot of room to try all the different ones, so I just went with the one that was the right answer. So when I look at my inner, My negative 2 and x multiplied together to give me negative 2x. My 3x and 9 multiplied together to give me positive 27x. And when you add those two together, you get positive 25x, which is exactly what I needed. The bottom part of your tab, this is actually the same exact example. We're just going to do it in a different way. Please don't think that you have to do it this way. This is just if you need a way to figure out how to factor. It's something that you can try if you don't like the other ones that I've given you. This is called the cross method. It's very similar to the foiling method that I just gave you by unfoiling. It's the same example, 3x squared plus 25x minus 18. So your two pieces that you're trying to get are still 3x squared and negative 18, the first and last terms. So on the left-hand side of an x symbol are going to be the factors of the first term. On the right-hand side are going to be the factors of the last term. And so you'll put a big X between them. And so what you'll do is the lines connecting, you're going to multiply those together. So 3x times 18 is positive 54x. X times negative 1 is negative x. When you add these two together, you get 53x, which is not the middle term. So 25x is what you're looking for. I'm not getting that, so I'm going to have to try this again. All I did was simply change their positions for the 18 and the 1. I'm going to do the process again. X times negative 18 is negative 18x. 3x times 1 is 3x. And this time when you add them together, you get negative 15x. You could try this for 6 and negative 3, negative 3 and 6. You would go through this same process, and you would keep going until you get the positive 25x that you need. And so finally I have 3x and x on the left, negative 2 and 9 on the right. So when I go and multiply 3x times 9, I get 27x. X times negative 2, I get negative 2x. So when you add those, you get positive 25x. Now, as far as your answer goes, you look directly across from each other, so horizontally. The first answer, our binomial, is going to be 3x minus 2, and the second is going to be x plus 9. And you'll notice that's the same exact answer that I got in the previous example, or the same example, but the previous way that I did it. Okay, and that is it. If you have your own way for factoring ax squared plus bx plus c that you were taught in Algebra 1, please don't feel that you have to use my way. I really don't care how you factor. This is just for those of you that have forgotten how to factor or that need a way because you don't remember how to do it or you don't like the way that your teacher taught you before. Okay, and that's it for this page.